Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. You are listening to Pod Studio, the place where we help you grow your English skills by listening to real, natural conversations. I'm Alex, and I'm joined today by my good friend Emma. How are you doing today, Emma?
Hi, Alex. I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really excited to be here at Pod Studio today because we have a topic that I think everyone cares about. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner or an advanced learner. This is something we all do every single day.
Exactly. Today, we are talking about what makes a good conversation. Think about it for a second. Sometimes you talk to someone for 5 minutes and you feel amazing. You feel energized. But other times, you talk to someone and you just want to leave. You feel bored or maybe even a little tired.
That is so true. Have you ever had a conversation where it feels like you are working hard, like you are pulling a heavy wagon uphill? That's what we want to avoid. Today, we want to help our listeners understand the secrets to a great chat.
And for those of you listening at home or on your way to work, just relax. Don't worry about every single word. Just try to follow our story. We're going to use simple words, but we're going to talk about real things. Learning a language is about more than just grammar. It's about connecting with people.
I love that. Connecting with people. That's really the heart of a good conversation, isn't it? So, listeners, grab a cup of coffee or tea, sit back, and let's dive into the world of talking.
Before we start, if you want more fun English podcasts like this, hit the subscribe button right now and join our English learning family.
It really helps us grow.
So, Emma, let's start with the basics. In your opinion, what is the very first thing that makes a conversation good right from the start?
Oh, that's a big question. I think the most important thing is actually not talking. It's listening, but not just hearing words. I mean active listening.
Active listening. That's a great phrase. In other words, you are really paying attention with your whole brain, right? You aren't just waiting for your turn to speak.
Exactly. That is a mistake I used to make a lot. I would be so worried about what I was going to say next that I didn't even hear what the other person was telling me. When you do that, the conversation feels broken. It doesn't flow.
Flow. That's another good word. Like a river. A good conversation moves smoothly from one topic to the next. If I tell you I'm tired because my dog was barking all night, and you immediately say, I want to buy a new car, there is no flow. You didn't listen to my story about the dog.
Right. A better response would be, oh no, Alex, why was your dog barking? Is he okay? That shows me you are interested. It shows you are engaged. When we say someone is engaged in a conversation, it means they are really in it. They are present.
I agree. And I think part of being a good listener is using your body language too. Even though this is a podcast and people can't see us, I'm nodding my head right now while you talk. If we were sitting in a cafe, I would be looking at you, not at my phone.
That is my biggest pet peeve. A pet peeve is something that really annoys you. When I'm talking to someone and they pull out their phone to check a text message, oh, it's the worst. It makes me feel like I'm boring them.
I'm guilty of that sometimes, I have to admit, but I'm trying to get better. It's about respect. If I give you my time, I should give you my attention too.
Speaking of attention, let's talk about small talk. A lot of English learners find small talk very difficult. They think it's a bit pointless or shallow. Shallow means it's not deep, like talking about the weather or what you had for lunch.
People do complain about small talk, but I think it's like a bridge. You can't just jump into a deep conversation about your life's dreams with a stranger at a bus stop. You need the small talk to build a bridge to the big talk.
That's a nice way to put it. So how do we make small talk better? Because the weather is nice is a bit of a dead end. A dead end is a street that stops. A conversation dead end is when the other person can only say yes or no.
That's the secret. You have to ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking, did you have a good weekend, which only gets a yes or no, you could ask, what was the best part of your weekend?
Oh, I see. Because then I have to give you a real answer. I might say, well, the best part was going to the park with my kids because the sun was finally out. And then you can ask me about my kids or the park.
Exactly. It gives the other person hooks. Think of it like a fishing line. You throw out a hook and the other person can grab onto it. If I give you a short answer, like it was fine, I'm not giving you any hooks. I'm making it hard for you to keep the conversation alive.
So it's a two-way street. Both people have to work a little. I remember once I was at a party and I met this man. I asked him 5 different questions and he gave me one-word answers every time. I felt like I was doing a police interview, not a conversation.
That sounds exhausting. I've been there too. I think sometimes people are just shy. They aren't trying to be mean, they just don't know what to say. If you meet someone like that, what do? Do you keep trying or do you give up?
I usually try 3 times. If I ask 3 questions and I get nothing back, I politely say, "It was nice meeting you," and I go find someone else to talk to. You can't force a conversation. It has to be natural.
Natural. We use that word a lot in Pod Studio. For our listeners, when something is natural, it feels easy. It feels right. It's not forced. It's like breathing.
I also think a good conversation needs a little bit of vulnerability. That's a big word, but it just means being honest about your feelings. You don't have to be perfect.
Right. If you ask me, how are you, and I always say, I'm great, everything is perfect, it's hard to connect with me. But if I say, actually, I'm a bit stressed today because I have a lot of work, suddenly we have something real to talk about. You might say, oh, I feel that way too sometimes.
Yes, that creates empathy. Empathy is when you understand and share the feelings of another person. It's the glue that holds friends together. If we only ever talk about facts, like what time the bus arrives or the price of milk, we don't really become friends. We're just exchanging information.
That's a great distinction. Exchanging information is what a computer does. Having a conversation is what humans do.
Let's talk about disagreements for a minute. Some people think a good conversation means you have to agree on everything. I don't think that's true at all. Do you?
No, not at all. Actually, some of my favorite conversations are with people who think differently than I do. But there is a right way to disagree.
What's the right way?
Well, you have to be polite. Instead of saying, you are wrong, you can say, that's an interesting point, but I see it a little differently. Or, I understand why you feel that way, but in my experience...
I like those phrases. In my experience is a very safe way to share your opinion without sounding like you are attacking the other person. It makes the conversation feel like a collaboration rather than a competition.
A competition is when you try to win the conversation. Have you ever met someone who always tries to one-up you?
Oh, yes. If I say, I went for a 5-kilometer run today, they say, oh, I ran 10 kilometers today. If I say, I have a headache, they say, I have a terrible migraine and I haven't slept in 3 days.
That is so annoying. In English, we sometimes call those people one-uppers. They always have a story that is bigger or better or worse than yours. It makes the other person feel small.
It really does. It kills the vibe. The vibe is the feeling or the atmosphere of a situation. A good conversation should have a positive, supportive vibe.
So we've talked about listening, asking open questions, giving hooks, and how to disagree. What about the speed of the conversation? Some people talk very fast, and others take a long time to answer.
That's a really good point for language learners. Sometimes when you are learning English, you need a moment to think. You need to translate in your head.
And that's okay. A good conversation partner will give you space. They won't jump in and finish a sentence for you immediately. They will wait.
But if you are the one who needs a moment, what can you say? You don't want the other person to think you've stopped listening.
You can use fillers. Phrases like, let me think, or that's a good question, or how can I put this? These phrases give your brain a few seconds to find the right words, but they also tell the listener, I'm still here, I'm just thinking.
I use let me think all the time, even in my own language. It's very natural. Another one is actually, or to be honest. These don't always change the meaning of the sentence, but they make you sound more like a native speaker because they smooth out the transitions.
Exactly. They're like lubricant for the conversation. They make the gears turn more easily.
Let's imagine a scenario. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and you see an old friend. You haven't seen them in 2 years. How do you start that conversation?
Well, first, I would probably say, "Hey, long time no see." That's a classic expression. It just means I haven't seen you for a long time.
And then?
Then I would ask about their life in a general way. How have you been? What have you been up to? What have you been up to is just another way of saying, what have you been doing lately?
I love that phrase. It's very common in casual English, and the other person might say, "Oh, not much, just working a lot." Now here is where the good conversation skills come in. If I just say, "Oh, okay," the conversation dies.
Right, so I should follow up. I could ask, where are you working these days? Do you still enjoy it? This shows I remember something about them from before. Remembering small details about people is a superpower in conversation.
It really is. If someone remembers that I like a specific type of tea or that my sister was sick last month, I feel so valued. It shows they were really listening last time.
So we're saying that a good conversation is actually built on the conversations you had before. It's a chain.
Definitely. But what if you were talking to someone for the first time, maybe at a business event or a party where you don't know anyone? That's much harder.
It is. In those cases, I like to use the environment. I look around and find something we both see. This music is a bit loud, isn't it? Or, have you tried the food? It's delicious. It's an easy way to start because you're both experiencing the same thing at the same time.
That's shared experience. It's the easiest way to break the ice. To break the ice means to start a conversation in a social situation that might feel a little cold or awkward.
Once the ice is broken, you can move on to more personal questions, but not too personal. Don't ask someone how much money they make in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, definitely not. That is a taboo topic in many cultures. In English-speaking countries, money, religion, and politics can be tricky. Tricky means they are difficult to handle. You have to be careful.
I usually wait until I know someone well before I talk about those things. It's better to stick to hobbies, travel, work, or family first.
What about silence? Some people are terrified of silence in a conversation. They feel they have to talk every single second.
I think comfortable silence is a sign of a really good friendship. When you can just sit with someone and not feel like you have to entertain them, that's a beautiful thing. But in a new conversation, a long silence can feel awkward.
Awkward is a great word for our listeners. It describes that uncomfortable feeling when something is embarrassing or socially difficult. If you're on a first date and nobody says anything for 2 minutes, that is awkward.
In that case, someone needs to pick up the ball, like in a game. If the ball is on the ground, someone has to grab it and start the play again. You can do that by changing the subject. By the way, I've been meaning to ask you.
"I've been meaning to ask you" is a perfect transition phrase. It tells the other person that you've been thinking about something and now you want to share it.
We've covered a lot of ground today, Emma. We talked about listening, asking open questions, giving hooks, and how to disagree.
We did, and I think the most important takeaway, the most important thing to remember, is that a conversation is not a test. Especially for our listeners learning English, you don't get a grade at the end of a chat with a friend.
That's so important. If you make a grammar mistake, it doesn't mean the conversation was bad. If you both understood each other and you both felt good, then it was a successful conversation.
Exactly. Perfection is not the goal. Connection is the goal. I've had wonderful conversations with people where we both spoke very broken versions of each other's languages, but we used gestures, we laughed, and we showed interest. That was a good conversation.
I remember once I was in a small village in Italy. I don't speak much Italian, and the shopkeeper didn't speak any English, but we talked for 15 minutes about his tomatoes. We used our hands, we pointed, we smiled. It was great.
See? You didn't need academic words for that. You just needed a willingness to communicate. Willingness means you want to do it. You are ready to try.
So for everyone listening to Pod Studio today, our advice is don't be afraid. Go out there and start a conversation. Ask an open-ended question. Listen to the answer. Give a hook.
And be kind to yourself. If a conversation feels awkward, it's okay. It happens to native speakers too. I have awkward conversations at least once a week.
Only once a week? You're doing better than me, Emma. I had one this morning at the grocery store. I tried to make a joke and the cashier just looked at me. No laugh at all.
Oh no, what did you do?
I just smiled, paid for my milk, and said, "Have a nice day." You just have to shake it off. In other words, don't let it ruin your day. Just move on.
Shake it off, like a dog shaking off water. I love that expression. It's very helpful for language learners. If you make a mistake, just shake it off and keep going.
Well, Emma, I think we've reached the end of our talk for today. This was a really fruitful conversation. Fruitful means it was productive. We got a lot of good ideas out of it.
I agree. It was so much fun. I hope our listeners feel a bit more confident about their next English conversation.
I'm sure they do. Remember, every time you talk to someone, you're practicing. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Very true. And thank you, listeners, for spending your time with us here at Pod Studio. We know you have a lot of choices for English learning, and we are so happy you chose to listen to us.
We really are. If you enjoyed this, try to use one of our phrases today. Maybe ask someone, "What have you been up to?" Or use "Let me think" when you need a moment.
Great idea. Well, I'm off to go have another conversation now, hopefully a good one.
Good luck. And to everyone else, keep practicing, keep listening, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.